Well, good morning. How are you all today? And welcome to Integrative Preparedness. Did you all have a good Thanksgiving? I hope you did. We did. We had a fantastic Thanksgiving. Family and friends, that's what it's all about, right? And reminding ourselves to thank God for all the blessings we have. But as life goes, just like when good things are going on, bad things happen, and when bad things are going on, good things happen. We have to be able to handle those elements of life, individually and effectively. And so, what I want to talk about now is the fact that we are at war. I don't think that many people understand that yet. And one of the most dangerous things is to be in a fight you don't realize you're in. And that is the state, I think, of America. It's the state of the American people. It's the state of preppers. It's the state of everybody. We are in a war, and most don't realize it. So that's what I want to talk about now. I hope you realize it. Of course, the talk right now is about the two guardsmen that were shot in D.C. by this moron whose name has more syllables than I care to try to remember. He's just another radical Muslim dirtbag, bent on holy war and bringing it to the infidel. There's a lot of information that's come out, some, and we don't know what's right and what's wrong, what's true and what's false, and that's important because I think it's too easy for people to get wrapped up in the minutia. You know, and when these things happen, I tend not to get wrapped up in the minutia. I don't care how many shots were fired. I don't care about exactly what year he came in. I don't care. There's a lot of things that I don't care about, and you'll hear this on other channels. That it's easy to try to get all the little individual things and make it sound like you know all about it, and then of course things can change because the initial reports are rarely completely right. I don't care about those things. The basics are this: that DC has been deployed to our guard, National Guard, and in this case it was West Virginia, had been deployed to DC to settle that place down, and apparently they've been very successful along with other state guard units. And this idiot who came over apparently on a allies come over and live with us program, who lived in the state of Washington with his wife and 5 kids, lived in an apartment with no beds, slept on couch cushions, and he spent his days playing Call of Duty and something else, I don't know. And he drives across the country um, just to do this, just to shoot these guardsmen using a 357 revolver. Now, is that true? I don't know. That's what's being reported. Let me take a sip. I saw the headline of another channel. I haven't watched it because I kind of stopped watching that channel. But the headline said, it says all the markings of a false flag. Yeah. Immediately after it happened, I said the same thing, and it could. Okay, it could. Was the purpose was this guy? And they say that he had worked with the CIA. He had been with what were one of these zero units, Afghan commandos or whatever that were trained by our guys and worked closely with our special ops people. I don't know. I mean, who knows the stories that were told, right? But could it be that he's one of these that that were activated to do this and shoot these guardsmen in Washington D.C. for what purpose? To have the guardsmen return fire, and we don't know exactly what the situation was. I don't know what the situation was on the ground. I don't know if there was a crowd around. I don't know how he got the jump on them. I don't know any of this stuff. And some people are going to say that they do, and I take that with a pound of salt. So was his intent to draw fire from the guardsmen and hopefully start it up, get it going, right? And then here's the scenario, the possible scenario, and I haven't heard anybody else talk about this. So if I'm saying the same thing they are or not, I don't know. I don't care. haven't heard what anybody else has said. So, and then they might have told him, well, the plan is we're going to get you out of there. We're going to get you out of there, and we have an escape vehicle waiting for you. See, if I was going to write a book, this is how I'd write it. Or if I was planning this operation, this is how I'd do it. And then you get in that van over there, and we're going to whisk you away, and we're going to stick you and your wife and your 5 kids in an even better apartment with actual beds in it. I don't know, you know. And then, of course, when he does go in and pop these 2, and would that have been his assigned mission, or was he supposed to take out more, or who knows? And then of course, you know, we have our people shoot him, you know, hopefully to kill him so that he can't talk, right? So that he can't testify in court. No, they told me to do this, right? So he's alive. And, you know, of course, Bondi and Pirro and all those people are making big noises about, we're going to prosecute him for first-degree premeditated capital murder. And blah, blah, blah. And Kash Patel is saying, we're going to investigate this guy and find out, we're going to interview everybody that knows him, find out everything that he's done, everything that, and you tell me what in the hell good that does? Except give the FBI an excuse to make a whole bunch of stupid press conference statements. You didn't do your job to prevent it when you could have. You knew who this guy was. You didn't think to investigate him. You didn't think to keep an eye on him. He shouldn't have been here anyway. Anyway, but so continuing on my scenario. So the team that's supposed to take him out so he can't testify, right? Well, they're not as good a shots as they should have been, and he's alive. So, do we find out any more as a result of him being alive? I would guess that we are going to be fed a line of you-know-what, designed to make us think what they want us to think. And then he will be, sent to Supermax for the rest of his life, or he won't be executed. I mean, that'd take 100 years, except in the case of McVeigh. Who knows? Maybe they will. I mean, if they need to keep his mouth shut, maybe they'll hurry up his execution so he can't talk later on to some author who wants to come along and write a book about it. Or could it be that it is exactly what it is? Another maniac, radical Muslim just gets it in his head one day that he's going to go off and pop off a couple of infidels. Now, I don't think he had to drive all the way across the country to find a couple of infidels, right? I don't think he had to go to Washington, D.C., but he might have thought, well, that's going to make the biggest splash. Here's the point. None of the minutia matters. Okay? Oh, it matters if you're the investigator and you want to put together your case, and it'll make a fascinating story, maybe. But the case is, it happened. And the truth is that these guardsmen were apparently taken by surprise, and I think there's a great lesson there. And we gotta give it to our National Guard people. They do an outstanding job. They're our citizen soldiers. They are citizens first who do their jobs, and then a weekend a month and 2 weeks every summer they go off to their National Guard training and such, and then they are sent on these jobs to do things that many times they're probably not equipped to do. And I don't mean that in any way to put them down, but to take people who, to take normies who maybe most of their life they're selling insurance or working in an office or this or that, and then put them in the middle of a situation like Washington, D.C., with threats around that these people can't even imagine, is asking a lot. Asking a lot. I'll give you a funny example. Uh, no, I'm not. I'm not going to make a. I'm not going to tell that here. But it has to do with when we saw the highway patrol come into Kansas City during the 1976. Well, I'll tell. 1976 Democratic National or Republican National Convention was in Kansas City. We worked at. Of course, I was a city cop, and I was there with the city teams, and they brought in law enforcement from all over the place, and from different sheriff's departments, sometimes rural sheriff's departments, sometimes. Um, the highway patrol from both states, Kansas and Missouri, were there, and you could see the guys who were not from the cities, the highway patrol who were spend their time not taking anything away from them. I have the highest regard for them. Wouldn't want to do that. Wouldn't want to spend my time, my life, riding up and down the highways. But that's just me. They were so out of their element. They didn't know what was going on. I mean, they there was a place in Kansas City called West 12th Street where all the strip joints were, right across the street from the hotel that I was working security in, the Muehlbach Hotel. And we would stand at the door and watch those highway patrolmen walk down the street there, walk down the sidewalk, and they were like little kids in a candy store. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. The dancers and the bouncers would come out on the sidewalk and start jacking with them and stuff like that. They didn't know what to do, and it was that's the problem. You put somebody somewhere they're out of their element, they're they're not ready. So anyway, but hats off to the guys trying to do their best. But this is a situation we get into when we send guard units into inner cities. We're at war. That's the point. Regardless of all the little, like I say, the minutia that people are going to want to talk about. And this is just just the latest incident of it. Was it designed as a false flag to really get it going? Who knows? Was it just exactly what it appears to be? Some nutcase goes out there and takes out a couple of guardsmen who probably weren't paying as close attention to what was going on as they should have because they're not used to the big city? Could be. But in any case, we've known for a long time that we are at war. The biggest dangers in our country is radical Islam and the influx that's coming in. I'm going to talk a lot more about that on the American Patriot channel, but I'm keeping this channel more preparedness. The cartels, and really just the collapse of American society. And my question to you is, are you ready? Just over the last few days, I've had a number of friends send me information or pictures of the latest handgun they've bought. They say, things are just getting too interesting. I'm upgrading my carry. Well, you might take a look and see if you need to upgrade yours a little bit. At Thanksgiving dinner, one of my niece's boyfriends came up to me and he says, "Hey, I want to show you what I just got." And he just gotten a Glock. I don't know I'm not a Glock guy, so I don't know the model numbers, but it was a 9mm. And I congratulate. He says, I really, he says, I've been watching what's going on in this world, and I just felt that I need to have this. Good for him. Good for him. And so we talked quite a bit, and I congratulated him on his responsibility, to take responsibility for his own safety and those around him. And of course, me, I told him that, when he had a chance, after he'd gotten kind of comfortable with this, he should probably move up to a man-sized caliber, something more effective. So that's my post-Thanksgiving admonition here. We are at war. If you don't realize it, you're in a fight that you don't know you're in. And that's a bad place to be. And so realize we are at war in this country. Just because we aren't fighting back doesn't mean that they aren't coming after us. And while it's not on a large scale yet, there's no telling when it's going to elevate to a larger scale. Right now, anywhere you go, you could deal with potential threats. And this goes far beyond, your beans and band-aids and all this aren't going to help you. But also, I would caution against too many people almost salivate, the gun guys. Oh, I've got this and I've got that and I've got this and I've got that. And they're living in kind of a gun fantasy world. No, it's when you're in these situations, it's just real. There's nothing fancy about it. There's nothing cool about it. It's nothing but survival. And it's a matter of whether you see the threat in time and understand the threat in time, and whether you're able to take the proper actions. So the first step of that is understanding that there is a threat. The second is always being ready for the threat. And even though in some cases I think that people who live more rurally or in small towns, they might be a little bit less likely to deal with these things, not necessarily. And realize that the long-term plan of radical Islam is to take over our country. And you've seen what they've done with Dearborn, Michigan. You've seen what they've done with Minneapolis and St. Cloud and all these different places. And they've done this politically. Okay? If 300 Muslims move into your small town, if they decide, we're going to move in 300, 500, 1,000 Muslims into your small town or your county, they can take over your city government, your county government within a few years. And if you're not involved politically, you're setting yourself up for a fight that you're going to lose. So that's the thing. The American spirit, over on the American Patriot channel, I say that the American spirit resides in the hearts of American patriots. And that's those people who are determined to retain the freedoms that we have, to try to go back to the fundamental principles on which our country was based, and will do what it takes to keep those. And that's politically. And too many people in the prepper world aren't politically involved because they've separated themselves for it. Well, I'll tell you what, you separate yourself from it, you don't have anything to do with it, you don't support the right side, this country can collapse on you or your children. And I'll say something about this too. I just it makes me sick to my stomach when I read comments like, well, I'm glad I'm 70 or 80 or whatever. I'm out of here soon. It's somebody else's problem. Really? You don't have kids? You don't have grandchildren? What a selfish way to think. You don't care about other people? Anyway, we're in war. Make sure that you're prepared with it, because at this point it's individual war. Don't wait for the call up of, okay, gonna get the mag together, gonna get the whatever. All right, they're on the horizon. They're not on the horizon. They're down the sidewalk. So, you all have a good day. Realize this is the reality of the world that we're living in now. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.